Den of Geek fans, Aaron Sagers here, and I am joined by Matt Nelson, the president of Certified Guarantee Company, better known as CGC. I think that's what everybody knows. And CGC is the world's largest grader of comic books and trading cards, but not just that, right?
That's right, we do. Oh, we've been doing coins even before comics, sports cards, paper money, video games, VHS tapes. We just started getting into pulps in a few months, everything.
Yeah, I didn't know about the VHS tapes. I love that.
Yeah.
It also makes me feel old, though.
Me too.
So I guess just for people that are starting out as collectors, why does something like CGC matter?
Well, we certify comic books. That's what we've been doing. We've done over 5 million comic books since we opened in 2000. And it does a lot of things for collectors. Primarily, it ensures what the grade and authenticity is of the book. So they know that up front, which makes it liquid. But since we've started grading, there's been a lot of other things that have turned up that are of value to collectors, like building sets. We have the registry sets online. And the overall presentation of the book, just being in the holder, really makes it pretty and stand out and for display. And so there's just a lot of reasons today that people use CGC.
When you carry over to things like VHS tapes and these other media, what sort of things you're looking for with that? Because that's not just a mint comic book or whatever. This is kind of a little bit more nuanced when you're dealing with that.
It is, yeah. In those cases, you've got the seal. Actually, they've got like video games and VHS tapes were sealed, unlike comic books, and so the seal is actually another level of grading that we have to do. And then in case of if they're not sealed, then they have to grade the cartridge and the booklet that comes with it. So yeah, a lot of other nuances that are different from comic books.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the most often asked questions that you get from new collectors as they reach out to you and try to, acquire your services?
Yeah, so grading, so as I said, we've been doing it for 23 years now. And what I've noticed is that when we opened, a lot of people knew how to grade comic books because they had spent all those prior decades holding them and grading them because that's what they had to do. We weren't in existence yet. And so over the past 23 years, more and more collectors have gotten in that are new to the hobby, and they never learned how to grade comics because we were doing it for them. And so a lot of the questions I get today are, how do you grade comics? What is your grading scale? What is the difference between a 9.8 and 9.9? How do you spot restoration? What are your categories mean? And so, that's a lot of information that these people have to learn. And so we have a grading guide that we just published in October that explains a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. And talk a little bit about how you work with like eBay, because you have a relationship with eBay, right?
Right. Yeah. So basically, mainly with cards right now, there's an authentication service. So they don't grade them, but they come through eBay, and they're basically authenticating the cards to make sure that they're real. So it's kind of like a half step in the certification process. But we're hoping to expand that relationship with eBay in the future.
I want to know a little bit about the emotions of collectors. We're digging in deep a little bit here because people acquire these treasures and they sometimes, I imagine, are heartbroken if they're not getting the grade that they want, or maybe somebody sold them something that they thought was considered a 9 and a 9.9 or whatever, and it's not quite that. Is that kind of like a tricky part of the job to be like, sorry, you purchased this thing that's not as good as you thought it was?
Yeah, there's a bit of disappointment sometimes. We work out of our office in Sarasota. We don't know who owns the books that we grade. So there's that impartiality there. So we grade the books and they go back to the customers, and sure, there's some disappointments there. Sometimes we get to talk to people after the fact, or they call us. It doesn't always mean the end of the world because we have pressing services, we have restoration removal services. There's a lot of different things we can offer that can enhance the book to help it achieve a better grade or a higher value. But yeah, absolutely. That happens all the time. People, especially when we first opened, a lot of books were changed hands that were, represented at a certain grade, or maybe there was restoration that wasn't disclosed. And that was one of the biggest benefits of CGC in the market, was that we were able to discover that and disclose that to make buying and selling a lot safer in the hobby.
Do you get a chance to actually walk around the con floor and look for your own little treasures?
Yeah, less so these days. When I joined CGC 10 years ago, I had to kind of divest myself of the whole dealing and buying and selling, and try and be more impartial. So I still collect personally, and yeah, I still, I go visit the dealers' booths and take a look at their walls, and every once in a while I'll find something that's pretty cool. But mostly it's just enjoying San Diego. I never get tired of this place. I just love walking around and seeing all the new stuff every year that they're putting out.
Well, within your collection, can you say any kind of prized item that you have?
Yes, Suspense 3. So it's a bit of an eclectic book. You know, most people obviously know about Action 1 or Amazing Fantasy 15, Hulk 181. Suspense 3 is a Golden Age book that came out in the 40s with a classic Alex Schomburg cover. It's a Nazi cover. It's got all the motifs going. It's got this girl in bondage, and she's, you know, got the Nazis in the hoods and the guys up on the hill about to save her. Very rare book from a company that's pretty obscure. So it's got all the bells and whistles, you know, and that's one of my favorite books. So yeah, that's probably one of my prized possessions in my collection.
That's really cool. When did you acquire that one?
Oh, a few years ago. Yeah. It's not a very high grade copy, but it's you know, it's fine. I'm not looking for the the highest grade copy.
I think that's the coolest part about collecting is it's not always about having that, you know, the top scale 9 or whatever. It's about the thing that means the most to you, right? Oh
yeah, and absolutely. And there's I'm finding that as new people are coming in, you know, the book's values are rising, and so most people can't afford a 9.4 or a 9.8 of their favorite book, and so they have to settle for a lower grade. And so it's good though to see a lot of the lower grades that are gaining traction in the marketplace. So you know, people are buying books in any grade, especially the earlier ones that are really rare.
All right. Matt Nelson, president of CGC. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I appreciate having me on.